Okay, so in all of your life learnings and with all of the knowledge that you've gained and all of your experiences and all of your schooling and all the things, you have come up with this incredible framework for women to really guide them through this process of getting on the other side of this, changing their thinking around this or that, and really living this fulfilled life. Can you share a little bit about your frameworks and where do you start women on this journey?
Being a successful and fulfilled woman means that you have decided and committed to living a life that is fulfilled, fit, and free. And those are the three pillars. I like to call them pillars. And if you'll imagine the imagery of pillars, strong columns that hold up this success and fulfillment. So each pillar has petals. And in the fulfillment petal, we're focused on our relationships, our family, our friends, our love interests, and then our relationship with our purpose. Why are we here? How are we able to bring our best and full self to the world? In the fitness pillar, we have three petals that are our fitness, our physical fitness, our focus, which is our mental wellness and our clarity, which drives our decisions, which drives our power, and then faith, our spiritual fitness. So it is an alignment of our mind, body, and spirit. And then finally, there's freedom. And the freedom comes from our choices and in our decisions. When you make a decision, you cut off all alternatives but the thing that you have chosen. And so that's where our freedom lies. This is a framework that I think when we think about our lives in this way, we're able to cultivate this successful and fulfilled woman that we were destined to be.
Welcome back to the Jessica Papineau Show, Living Aligned, Styled with Purpose. I cannot wait to bring our guest in today for her to share with all of you all of her incredible gifts. We have Dr. Stephanie Barnes here in the house, and I cannot wait for you to meet her, learn all about her, and dive into this incredible woman's story and everything that she has to offer. So Stephanie D. Barnes is a healthcare innovation attorney, but make no mistake, Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes is always the liberated lawyer. She is a powerhouse dedicated to helping high-achieving women break free from the trap of successful but unfulfilled and start living lives that are fulfilled, fit, and free. Dr. Stephanie Barnes is a TEDx speaker. She's an award-winning author. She's a presenter. She's an internationally acclaimed speaker on leadership, gender equality, and women's empowerment. She's also a coach and strategist and the woman you can call when you're ready to stop shrinking and start standing in your full power. Beautiful. I mean, you have a list of certifications and education behind you, Dr. Barnes, but really your greatest teacher has been your life, but also all these different things that you've gone through. And I am so excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you, Jessica. I'm so grateful to be here. You can just call Miss Stephanie. I am a doctor.
I know, but I love can I call you Dr. Stephanie? I like saying it, Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes. It just sounds it sounds like it's so sexy.
Yeah.
So Stephanie and I met, we recently met, we became fast friends. We met at at a retreat in Kauai with, it was a collaborative retreat with Amberly Lago, Patrice Washington, and Brooke Hemingway. And Stephanie was part of Patrice Washington's community. And so I had the pleasure of sitting beside her on, I think it was day 2, and
Yes.
getting to know her a little bit, and then spending some time with you. And I got to watch you snorkel. I didn't go in there, but I got to watch you. And,
Yes.
and you, oh my gosh. And I saw you, like, the waters were rough that day. And I saw
Yes.
you go in and kind of go under, and you were trying to get back up. And I'm looking around like, somebody better go in and help her because I can't. I'm going to go down with her. And
Yes.
luckily you were saved by Brooke's husband. But I,
That was a funny time. And, you know, the thing about, anytime you go into the ocean, the depth of the water is always a little deceptive, and you can easily get disoriented. So even though I could stand up in the water, immediately it kind of felt like I was being washed away to sea. But I ended up, having that difficulty because I didn't have my snorkel over my nose. And so I had the mask on, but for whatever reason, didn't put it over my nose. So, of course, when I went underwater, I'm like,
did you breathe in all the water?
yes. And so that startled me. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be breathing water. And then it took me like a couple of seconds to get reoriented and realize, well, if you don't put your mask over your nose, yeah, you're going to have a little problem breathing. But it was fun. And Thomas, Brooke's husband,
Thomas, yeah,
was
saved the
a
day.
great guide, and he helped me to, just
Mhm.
regather myself, and I had a wonderful experience. So,
So I have to tell you, Stephanie, in me observing you, because you did, and I'm not gonna like say it completely out loud because I don't want to swear on my podcast, but you had a couple of FFTs, I think, even during this time. And so the wonderful thing, and for those of you that are listening, the wonderful thing about this trip was it was this retreat. It was a beautiful combination of like collaboration, meeting other like-minded women that really desire, to experience joy in their lives and really align their desires and success and how they're living, all together, align it. And women that want to collaborate and do big things together, but also, and we had these morning sessions, which was wonderful, which we sat
yeah,
together on one of those. But then we got to do fun things together.
yes,
And we got to do some FFTs, which is effing first times.
yeah,
That's what we'll say. And that was from Brene Brown. That's who I got that from. And the thing that I love about that, and the thing that I love about you, Stephanie, is I saw Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, and I knew that you were a doctor, and I'm like, oh wow, she is something. She has done big things. But then I got to see you also try new things in these and have these experiences, because that was part of it, that we were doing, fun things together. And so
yeah.
I witnessed you. It was so beautiful. I don't know if you know this, but
Mhm,
when I got to witness you go under the water and kind of struggle a little bit, it was like you showed this vulnerability.
mhm.
And I saw that you were the woman that stretches yourself, to really kind of get a little in the uncomfortable, try new things, and kind of move through that uncomfortable to get to the other side of joy. Because when you came out, you did it. It was like invigorating, and you were excited, and you jumped up, and there was this beautiful picture of you, and I just got to see it. This beautiful picture of you jumping up, and the photographer got you in midair. And so like,
Yes,
and
yes.
you were so happy, and I got to see like your vulnerability, and you kind of
Mhm.
struggled a little bit, but then you came out of the water and you felt invigorated, and I admired that
Oh, thank
watching you.
thank you, thank you. And I think, that's something that, we all can experience and in our own way. And when we have developed success in one area, it is very easy to remain comfortable and to stick to what we know. But I have learned that if we truly want to stretch ourselves and truly want to experience life, sometimes we've got to jump outside of that comfort zone. And The joy that we wish to experience oftentimes is on the other side of taking a risk.
Yeah.
And if we never take that risk, yeah, we'll have a good life still. And sometimes, that is good enough. But if we
Mm.
truly want to experience a full life, we've got to be willing to stretch ourselves. And so, in going to this retreat, I
Yes.
decided beforehand that I was going to experience everything that I could that was different from what I could do here in Atlanta. And I wanted to do that for a number of reasons. One, to just fully enjoy the opportunities that were there, but also to show myself that at this big age, as I like to say, at this golden season, it's never too late to have FFTs. It's never too late to try something new. And it's never too late to stretch yourself and become an even better and higher version of who you are.
Yeah. And, what's really something that you said that really stood out to me was living in the good enough. And this
Mm-hmm.
is something that that I talk about with in my community and with the women that I serve as well, because we're serving a similar audience, and that these are high achieving women. And
Right.
we are that woman, right? So we understand what it's like to be that woman. And
Yeah.
it's like we don't accept mediocrity
Yeah.
in certain areas of our life, like when it comes to business success and, how we're interacting with even with our loved ones and how we treat our children and all these different things. And
Mhm.
then, and I think you got to this place in your life where you kind of do this check in, right?
Yes.
Of like, oh, am I living in the good enough when it comes to me? And
Right.
as high achieving women, we don't accept mediocrity. That's not how
Right.
we live. So when it's not in alignment, it
Yes.
does prevent us from
Right.
experiencing joy.
Right. Right. And the
The
way I like to think of that is living life in the end, which is tapping into the power of our choices to create the life we desire and deserve. Because living in the good enough, living in the or,
Yeah.
is where we are putting ourselves in boxes voluntarily or staying in boxes that others have put us in. And we think we can do this or that. We can be successful or fulfill. You know, we can be okay over here, but we're just going to stay in this little spot. But living life in the end is truly an expansion of our capacity and our capability and our impact. And it's, taking these risks and using that commitment that we have to excellence because we excel in our professional spaces. We are excellent in everything that we do. We know how to push others in terms of our leadership and leading teams and leading the marketplace.
Mhm.
We are excellent there. And we can also use those same skills in creating a greater capacity in our life. And sometimes it's in small things like taking a chance and snorkeling. And other times it's in much larger areas like taking a chance and starting a new business or shifting our career or taking the or making the decision and making a commitment to ourselves to
Mhm.
live truly the best life that we can and not confining ourselves to just doing good enough. So,
Can you share with our listeners a little bit about what led you to your company, the
yes.
successful and fulfilled woman? Because you're definitely living in the and. Like you do multiple things. You're a mover and a shaker.
Yeah. Well, because I have always been a high achiever ever since high elementary school, high school, college, and I checked all the boxes. I did all the things, and I am a Harvard Law graduate, so certainly that took some excellence to get in, to get out, and I'm an attorney, and I've been in the C-suite. I'm a former healthcare executive. So I've done the things and my resume, it has all the great signs of winning, right? But I knew that there was more to life than just these positions. And I'll tell you, it all started when one year I decided, I want to be more impactful. I want to be of greater influence. I want to do more.
Mm.
And I decided that the only way I could do that was to be a CEO. I want to be a CEO. CEO of what? It didn't matter. I just needed to have the title, right? So I started out on this path of trying to be a CEO and achieve the title, another entry on my resume. And in doing that, I started to read books and study other CEOs and really delve into what that meant. And what I realized is it never was about the title. It was
Mm.
about the influence and the impact
Mm.
and the inspiration, And so it shifted me to wanting more than just being a title, but to being able to shift the lives of others. And so I focused on helping other women to get to the table because at that time I was in the C-suite. I was at the table. I was at the boardroom table. I was part of the decision making, but it was just me. And I also knew that there were other women in that organization who had the ability to lead. And I decided to develop a leadership development program and have it just for women so that I could get more women literally in the C-suite or help to women to become greater leaders. And I was very successful with that. I did 5 seasons of that leadership development program, and I literally was able to influence and touch the lives of 100 women.
Mm.
And many of them went on
Wow.
right, many of them went on to become VPs or directors or otherwise
Mhm.
increase their leadership potential. And I thought, okay, great. Now I'm on my way to being a leadership development professional. I got my PhD in organizational leadership.
Mhm.
And then life was like, ha ha, got something for you, right? And just when I thought I was on the verge of greatness and doing all these great things, my whole life turned upside down. And I went through a divorce. I'd been married 21 years. And we moved from this town in on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi to Huntsville, Alabama, largely for his career. And I think about 10 months after we got there, he asked for a divorce. So here I was in this town, um, not fully established. I had pretty much shut down my business, to transition my family and support what he wanted to do. And I found myself in a situation where, I had to make new friends. I had to start all over, just had to start all over. And then I got divorced and then I really had to start all over. And at that stage, I was given the option or presented with an option of, well, I can just stay here and try to make the best of it and stay in this place I didn't want to be, or I can take agency over my own life and try to create something new and something bigger. And so I decided to moved to Atlanta to start my life over. And as part of the divorce, I went back to my maiden name. And it wasn't out of spite, but it was a symbol of
Mhm.
starting over and redefining who is Stephanie. Because who she had been
Mhm.
before
Mm.
wasn't the end. That was just who I was before. And I decided to move to Atlanta and start my life over and it didn't go quite as planned. I believe in this concept called disruptive elevation. When life doesn't go as planned, it goes exactly as it should. And even
Mm.
though things didn't work out exactly as I had planned them, it opened the window to me creating an even better life. And I decided that, I didn't want to be just successful. I wanted to be successful and fulfilled. And that's what led me to this brand and to this business and to this mission to ensure that every woman has the opportunity to experience success and fulfillment. We don't have to put ourselves in a box, and when life disrupts the plan that we had, we
Mhm.
don't have to succumb to that. We can be elevated nonetheless. So that's
That's a
how
beautiful story.
woman came to be.
I love that. Okay, so how many years ago was this?
So this has been about a 7-year journey. It's about a
Well,
7-year journey. I was divorced in 2016 and I moved to Atlanta in 2017.
wow.
So,
What I
so yeah.
love about this and what's so inspiring about the story that you just shared is, I think so many women believe that, when they achieve a certain amount of success and whatever it is they went to school for or they've been doing for a long time, that they just need to like settle there and that's what their life is. And I've been seeing a good part of the women that I'm serving now, it's just so interesting. I think it's because I'm in a similar stage in my life as well. We are like almost like born again. Like I almost and I even saw this in you, Stephanie. It
Mhm.
was like I feel like I'm a teenager. Like it's
Yeah,
like I started over. Like
good.
it's so beautiful because it's like everything that we learned and did up until this shift of like this realization that we can have more and we can have whatever we want. Leading up to that, we thought we could only have that. And now we get to take in all that goodness
Sweet.
and marry it with this other thing. And like, it's not even about starting over. It's almost like this surrender of like,
Yeah,
what do you have for me? Just
right. Surrender to the
receiving.
possibility of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and
Beautiful.
I think about it from the perspective of, for so many times because I'm 52. I'll turn 53 soon, and I know when I turn 50, reaching my golden year, a lot of women kind of approach 50 and they're like, oh my gosh, that's the end. It's midlife, or even in their 40s, and definitely like when you get in your 60s, and life kind of society, I'll just say society kind of tells that, and it's shifting. But
Yes.
traditionally, like 50, that's the end. I when you would Google what does a 50-year-old woman look like, the style that came up, I'm like, who dresses like that? But anyway, let's
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah.
that's not digress. But I decided to approach 50 as a time of true awakening because I would be entering a stage where I could take all this experience that I've had in my life and truly create a life I desire and deserve. My children are grown. I'm divorced, and I'm in this stage where, I truly have power. Now, you don't have to get divorced to experience it. And I don't want to make it sound like, that's the trigger point or the thing that elevates you. But you at 50 or any age, honestly,
Hmm.
we have the power to choose to create the life we desire and deserve. And the advantage that we have as we age, as we gain all of this experience, is the experience. And that
Hmm.
allows us to make even better choices because we have knowledge and wisdom that we can tap into.
Yes. And okay, so in all of your life learnings and with all of the knowledge that you've gained and all of your experiences and all of your schooling and all the things, you have come up with this incredible framework for women to really guide them through this process of getting on the other side of this, changing their thinking around this or that, and really living this fulfilled life. Can you share a little bit about your frameworks and where do you start women on this journey?
Yes. Well, being a successful and fulfilled woman means that you have decided and committed to living a life that is fulfilled, fit, and free. And those are the three pillars. I like to call them pillars. And if you'll imagine the imagery of pillars, strong columns that hold up this success and fulfillment. So the fulfillment pillar, or each of these pillars rather, has petals. And I like petals because they symbolize, a rose. If you think about a rose, it's this beautiful flower, but it's not just, it's multidimensional. It's not just one thing. It has these petals that give it its depth and its beauty. So
Mhm.
each pillar has petals. And in the fulfillment petal, we're focused on our relationships, our family, our friends, our love interests, and then our relationship with our purpose. Why are we here? How are we able to bring our best and full self to the world? In the fitness pillar, we have three petals that are our fitness, our physical fitness, our focus, which is our mental wellness and our clarity, which drives our decisions, which drives our power, and then faith, our spiritual fitness. So it is an alignment of our mind, body, and spirit. And in the final pillar, there are the petals. And I think this is the funnest, the best pillar, or the most exciting pillar, in that it starts with our financial, it's freedom, our freedom pillar. And the petals there are our financial freedom, because oftentimes our choices can be limited by our finances. And so we've got to get our financial house in order. Then we look at frolic, which is our ability to have fun, to enjoy the fruits of our labor. Fashion, and this is where, we particularly have something in common. And I think fashion is important as a freedom because it is how we express ourselves. And particularly as we mature, we don't have to subscribe to anyone's notion of what we need to be looking like and what we need to be wearing. We get to decide that for ourselves. So it's not a frivolous passion. It is truly a expression of who we are. And then finally, there's freedom. And the freedom comes from our choices and our decisions. And I love the word decide because it has as its root the Latin word side, which means to kill or cut off. And I always say we're not trying to kill anybody, but when you make a decision, you cut off all alternatives but the thing that you have chosen. And so that's where our freedom lies, is in our choices. So this is a framework that I think when we think about our lives in this way, we're able to cultivate this successful and fulfilled woman that we were destined to be.
Hey there, it's Jessica Papineau. If your wardrobe feels more like a source of stress than a source of confidence, I have something special for you. My Simplify and Elevate course is an online, step-by-step journey to transform your wardrobe and your mindset. You'll learn how to let go of what no longer is serving you and curate a wardrobe that truly reflects the powerful woman you are. Imagine starting each day with clarity, confidence, and a sense of ease, knowing exactly what to wear to feel unstoppable. This isn't just about clothes, it's about stepping into your full presence. Join me at csjstyling.com and let's elevate every aspect of your life, starting with your style. What is so cool about this, how you integrate this mind, body, spirit, it's, and you're really, the woman that you kind of were and what you came from, and even women that you're serving that are, these professional, like executive, like come from this world. And I know that world, it's very hustle. Like it's
Yes.
very, like it can be very push.
Mhm.
And I love how you break it down for that specific woman, because I feel like your pillars are like the perfect combination of almost like I'll describe it as masculine and feminine energy almost.
Mhm.
And even the word petal. I love the word petal. When you say that,
Yes.
the first time I heard you say it on a podcast, I was like, oh, I want to hear about the petals. I love the pillars, but what are the petals on the pillars? Like, this sounds so cool. But it's almost like this metaphorical thing of like, I don't know. I just love how you lead women through and really anchor them
Mhm.
in with the
Mhm.
pillar. And it's like a tactical, like really get them, thinking in their mind, but then get them really connected, really,
Right.
yeah, anchored in to themselves so that they can make a decision from an aligned
Mhm.
mind, body, and then allowing the spirit to be what guides them to that decision. What's
Yeah.
really cool about this and I don't know if you, I mean, I'm sure you know this, but how you've integrated these two different things, because I mean, we're both kind of in the world, we're in the world of women empowerment. We're in the
Yes.
world of, mindset and then action and different things. But I even find, and I don't know if you find this, Stephanie, but that people see an either or in that.
Right. And yes, and
And
that's
you've integrated like in this beautiful, magical
mm-hmm.
way. And then your pillars actually, and we haven't talked about Mike, but they're very similar. They're very
Right.
similar because your
Yeah.
last pillar to me is the freedom, the fashion, like all of it. It's an embodiment. It's a way of life.
Yes. Yes. And women, have been controlled in many respects by fashion. And we think you can think that fashion is frivolous, but it really empowers. It can empower or it can imprison. And when you
Yes.
look at historically how fashion has defined women, you
Yeah.
know, there was a time when literally our fashions confined us,
Mhm.
particularly for women that were high achievers in society or at the
Yeah.
higher levels of society. Fashion was imprisoning in
Yeah.
different cultures across the board. The more elevated you were in society, the more imprisoning your fashion was. Like, in China, women used to bind their feet. That was a symbol of beauty, but it meant they couldn't walk. In
Yeah.
European culture, the corsets, that was a way of showing this beautiful silhouette, but it was confining and it could lead to,
Yeah.
organ damage, and those are extremes, obviously. But
Yes.
I say that to share that, even in today's modern society, we are defined by our fashion. I
Mm.
remember when I began my career as a corporate attorney, I started out as an intern in a Wall Street law firm, and we were very restricted to what we could wear. We could only wear certain colors, black, gray,
Mm.
and navy. That was pretty much
I remember when that was like very typical.
right. When I started working as an attorney in Houston, Texas, I worked at an international law firm, but this was 1997. It's just a year. It was 1997. We could not wear pants to work. I had to wear skirt suits and
Yeah.
pantyhose. It was very constricting. And so that was how we were defined. And if you stepped out of that box, you were penalized by what you wore.
Yeah.
I don't think it was until the late 2000s when women could wear pantsuits to court,
Yes.
those who were litigators, because I was never a litigator. I was always a transactional attorney, didn't go to court.
Yeah.
But but all of those things impacted how we showed up in the marketplace. In the 80s, corporate women were encouraged to dress like men with the shoulder pads and the neckties, and you wore the masculine suits and all of this, and
Yeah.
you were penalized for being feminine.
Mhm.
So the way we show up in fashion, it's not just aesthetics and it's not frivolous. It really is a statement of our power.
Yeah.
And I have developed, a style over time to where I do push the envelope.
Yeah.
And I don't do it for the sake of merely being rebellious, but to make the point that how I show up is an expression of who I am, and it doesn't define my intellect, it doesn't define my capability,
Mm.
and I can be feminine
Yeah.
and a
Yes.
great leader. And as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I'll just say this real quickly, my TEDx talk that I did was on the point of using m- um, masculine and feminine to describe leadership
Mm.
capabilities. And when you were, feminine attributes, being collaborative, being nurturing,
Yeah.
though that was defined as feminine, and being masculine leadership characteristics were uh, assigned to like being assertive and decisive.
Mm.
Well, that automatically meant that it suggested that women could not be effective leaders and be assertive and make decisions. And in the course of talking about that, I also wove into how we show up. I literally wore the most feminine pink dress that I could wear with pearls and talked about the point that wearing pink did not change the power of my message and the power of my intellect. So fashion is an important element of how we show up, and we can be feminine and be great leaders. And men, conversely, can embrace being collaborative and nurturing and not be any less of a man and be even better leaders. So
I love this. And this is exactly, I love to push the limits, and I don't put any woman in a box. In
mm-hmm,
fact, I don't do people's color palettes. I don't believe in that.
mm-hmm,
I don't do people's color palettes. I don't put them in a box when it comes to their body type. I
mm-hmm.
completely hear everything that you're saying. And the fashion world has not caught up to this.
Mm,
It really
no.
hasn't. And so when you're talking, I'm just getting excited because I am here. I am on the mission with
Yes.
you to break free of these things. Because even, when I carry my own inventory for my clients, because I buy in a way that women, I believe, just like you're saying, women can make a choice of what they love, of what makes them feel good, of who they are, not what somebody else is doing. It's like you today wearing this beautiful, and those of you that are on YouTube watching, you can see Stephanie, but she's wearing this beautiful neon green top that it has some structure to it, and it's very it's beautiful, and it's bold, and that is part of your style, and it's this beautiful mix of
Mm,
feminine and powerful. I feel your energy coming through. And it's for any woman that's watching or listening to this, really going within and discovering what you love without thinking about what should I be doing or what's my style, what's
right,
she wearing, what's she doing.
right.
When we feel beautiful and we feel
Yeah,
amazing in our bodies, it allows us to
right.
amplify our power. I love
Right.
this.
Right. And there are so many studies that show the connection between psychology and fashion, and how we feel about how we look shows up in how we feel about ourselves and
Yes.
how we show up for others. 'Cause, I have, like I say, pushed the envelope for much of my career. And I've even gotten the comments, well, you don't look like a Harvard lawyer. Well, what does a Harvard lawyer look like? Right here? Because
Yeah.
guess what? It's in my office. So
Yeah.
this is what a Harvard trained lawyer looks like. And it's all about encouraging diversity in terms of expression. And there's no one size fits all for a woman. There's no one size fits all for a woman leader. There's no one size that fits all for an attorney. An attorney looks like whatever if you're an attorney, then that's what an attorney looks like. If you are a leader, then that you are what a leader looks like. And it's important for us to show up in authenticity
Mhm.
so that we can begin to break these barriers that say women need to look like this, be this
Right.
size, talk like this, you stay here. You know, when we step out and show up boldly in what makes us feel good and what is a true expression of who we are, not only do we redefine what a woman, a powerful woman, a high achieving woman looks like,
Mhm.
but we give other women the permission to do so themselves. And that's what leaders do. We
Yes.
break the barriers, and we create the influence that gives others the ability to create influence in their own way.
Yes. I love this. And I really believe, and you really amplify this for me too, is that as leaders, as, not just visionaries, but we want to, take these women out of these boxes and we want to help them rise. I
Mhm.
believe as leaders, we need to rise together with them.
Yes.
And And
Good.
this is why I really wanted to bring you on, Stephanie, because you are that woman that, all of my listeners, the women that are in my community need to be in your world, because just being in your energy, I feel this. I know I get woo woo, but I feel this rising. I feel this breaking free feeling. And, once we can kind of be doing this together, even if we're, don't totally know each other, even if just going onto your Instagram account. Like, I
Mm.
feel your frequency when I go on your Instagram account and see this freedom. So, can you share how those that are listening and watching right now, because you've provided so many amazing little nuggets of things, little, breadcrumbs, and I know that you're leaving our listeners wanting more of you and all of your gifts. Can you share best ways to find you, where to go, all the things, and your offerings?
Yes. Well, I make it very easy for you.
All
You
right.
go to drstephaniedbarnes.com. I'm Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. So Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, I always say you got to put the D in it. But Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes is the best way to find me. And if you go on my website, that is the best place because it literally it gets you to my podcast. It gets you to my Instagram, all of my social media. And it gets you to the ability to have a revelation conversation. And one of the things or the ways that I help women to live life in the end is to help them to discover the new you. Because who you are right now and who you need to be to experience the fullness of your life and to be successful and fulfilled, those are two different women. And it's important to discover who you really are because a lot of times we're living as a shell of ourselves. We're great and we look good, but we haven't fully stepped into who we truly are. And so I have what I call New You VIP transformations, where I work with high achieving women in an intensive where we get to the heart of who you are and we develop a plan, a blueprint. So I'm a strategist at heart. So I'm a strategist as an attorney when I work with my healthcare innovation clients, and I've always been a strategist. And so I have bridged that capability to help women to develop a strategy around how they are going to create this new you that is going to yield the successful and fulfilled woman they were always destined to be.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And we'll make sure that not only your website is in the show notes, all your things, your podcast and social media handles and all the things. And I just want to say thank you so, so much for coming in today. I just feel so grateful to know you, and I'm so happy that we were able to meet and that I was able to kind of bring you in to have my listeners and followers and women that I serve just get this little taste of you, because it's so beautiful. You're so beautiful. Thank you so
Oh, thank you.
much.
Thank you. And likewise, this has been wonderful. I'm so grateful that we connected and looking forward to the deeper connection that we have the ability to build over the years. So this is just the beginning, Jessica.
Yes, it is. Thank you.